We know Gaia as the earth. She is the start of everything and at the heart of cycles of all of life. She has the power to create, just as we do in our feminine mother energy. And she has the power to shape new things. She gives life. She is life, and her life is the life-giving energy that brings countless blessings. I'm hoping that you are really taking this in and applying it to how you feel about yourself and your abilities in your life. Because all these energies, please remember, are in you. In today's busy world, how can we find the inspiration, knowledge, and energy to live a healthy and empowered life? If we balance and harmonize our mind, exercise our body, live according to the laws of nature, and connect to spirit, can we find a way to heal, become our authentic self, and live our purpose with love? I am your hostess, Amy Fournier, and welcome back to Awakening Aphrodite. I am finally producing my first online course for women. It's about the 4 life stages of womanhood: the maiden, the warrior, the mother, and the wise woman. We talk about how these different life stages correlate with moon cycles, that's right, the seasons of the year, and even the 4 functions of consciousness. It's packed with amazing, helpful, practical information, and it's going to be a lot of fun. If you buy the course, you have lifetime access. There's training modules and video and even handouts, and you will have live calls with me and the other participants so we can share in this community together. Make sure you're on my email list so you will hear about it. That's amyfournier.com to sign up. So there you go, my friends. I can't wait to share with you all the things that I've learned that have helped me navigate through this crazy journey we're on together. Hey everybody, did you know that I have an e-store? That's right. I have put together a collection of some of my absolute favorite everyday products. My core harmonizer, where I set up my home environment to have music that's calming, beautiful, peaceful, harmonizing energy. And of course, my red light therapy with my photon bulb lamps from Sauna Space. I use particularly at night because it basically is the same thing as firelight and it doesn't disrupt your sleep patterns. And my skincare, like with Sebum Solus and Faro Skincare, whether you want plant-based or animal-based, all these products are natural and they work. They work really great. I have great skin, and I'm happy to say probably a combination of my diet, my red light therapy, and my really good products, plus a lot of water. I have a great water filter that I use in my own home every single day. It's not very expensive, but it works really well, and I recommend it to all my family and friends. So you can find all of these products and more on my website, amyfournier.com. Just go to the tab e-store there, go to the recommended products, and scroll down and have fun shopping. Use my coupon codes, save some money, and you know what else? It's a great way to support me because I make a small commission by bringing them to you, and we support these great companies and have integrity and are producing beautiful things in the world. All right, let's get back to the show. Hello, my friends. I know you're interested in natural living and supporting the environment because we are the environment. The environment affects our energy and our life, and respecting nature and living in accordance and in sync and flow with the cycles of life. All beautiful stuff. I'm super excited to share with you today's show because we're going to talk about earth energy and the female energy of the earth and some particular ancient earth goddesses that different cultures attributed to the power of Mother Earth. And why? I got inspired because Earth Day is coming up. You might have heard of this day. Apparently there's a particular day of the year that somebody decided we should think about Mother Earth, although it should be 365, right? And I'm sure you think about her all the time and have her in your life. But April 22nd is officially Earth Day, and hopefully the whole world will pause just for a moment and put their feet or their hands or even their eyeballs on Mother Earth and nature that's around them, and just take a deep breath and take it all in and feel her support and give her your support and your love and just your acknowledgement and your appreciation because, we wouldn't be here without her. And in fact, did you know that the word mundane actually comes from earth and nature and the material world? Because the root word of mundane is the Latin mundus, which means of the material world. And anybody who lives a natural life knows that the energy that's created and the potential from the material world is the source of change and power. So when you hear me say we have to make sacred the mundane, washing the dishes, doing the laundry, driving the kids to soccer, all that mundane stuff that all of us have to do in life, if we can find a way to really be present and make sacred, make special, make meaningful. What is sacred? It's bringing meaning. I'm doing this because I'm chopping vegetables for my salad, which is so monotonous, because I want to feel good and have good energy so I can think clearly and be motivated and feel good in my body. That's a way to make sacred, to give meaning to something mundane, which again means material. So the world, the earth, is the ultimate of matter, of material. And I just wanted to give you that little preface for today's show on Earth Day. So let's talk a little bit about Earth and mother goddesses and characters who are strong and female and grounded. And sometimes they can even be groundbreaking. I'm going to refer to a great book by Allison Davies. It's called Goddess Stories, and it's about mythology. It's a really cool book, but she put together a couple of goddesses in particular that are related to the earth and the mother. And as you know, we call the earth our mother, Mother Earth, right? Father Sky and Mother Earth. So wise women in stages, primordial and primal, all of the deities and goddesses that we're going to talk about have been standing since the dawn of time. They were considered the ones who actually created the world and everything in it. And they brought out of chaos a sense of security and calm, just like a mother would do. The cool thing about these goddesses and tapping into this earth energy goddess archetype is that they help us stand our ground. Such an important thing, isn't it? They help us find our footing and feel secure and strong, like the trunk of an oak tree or the roots going down deep so we don't get blown over and get too caught up in our monkey mind, in our head, like spinning in spirals as we go into these anxiety trips. They also help create because, again, this is matter. This is the material world. They help us create our environment and the world around us, and they help us connect. So these are all the attributes of the feminine, which I know are important to you, and they're important to me too. So we can tap into their energy and have them be our anchor and our inspiration and bring out the qualities within us that are just waiting to be tapped into. So let's talk about Atira. She's the Native American earth goddess. Her themes are abundance, creativity, new growth, and inspiration. She's also known as the Corn Mother. She's a Native American earth goddess, and this is what the people believed and what mythology says. When the Great Spirit of many Native American and First Nations mythologies made the earth, he made it possible for the people to live off the land and live together in harmony. He made it so the humans could share this space with all the other creatures and live happily side by side. He showed them the old ways and the things they must do for their families to flourish, and he made it clear that this was how it was meant to be. The earth does not belong to you, he said. You only borrow it during your lifetime. And while many of the tribes followed this creed and took it to their hearts, there were some who thought they were above the gods, some who thought they were the gods, and some who acted like it. As time went on, these people became more and more frustrated. Their needs for power and one-upmanship drove them to terrible deeds, and they began to destroy the very thing that sustained them. Sound familiar? Kind of like what's going on now. They cared little for the environment and the animals they shared it with, and even less for each other. They believed there were other ways to survive and thrive, which didn't involve taking time, effort, and care to nurture the land. The resentment they had for those who did grew and grew and grew, and what started like a tiny anthill of annoyance became a stone mountain of hate. You must do something, the ancestral spirits urged the Great Spirit. If you leave them to their ways, they will destroy the earth and each other, and there will be nothing left. The Great Spirit agreed. He could see what was happening and knew it was time for action, so he planted a seed in the heavens, a seed born of light and goodness. Then he sent the seed to the medicine men and women and told them they should retreat to a cave in the west where they would be safe from harm. Once all the people had gathered in the giant cave in the middle of the mountain, the entrance was sealed and the Great Spirit set to work. Taking an almighty breath, he poured his spirit into the rivers and streams until they flowed freely as one. They surged through the land, and the waters began to rise. They swallowed huge swaths of earth and swept the evildoers to their doom. On and on they rolled, a force to be reckoned with. Only those within the cave were safe. Once the floods had cleansed the earth, all the badness, the Great Spirit rolled away the stone at the entrance to the cave and set the people free. But this time, to ensure they stayed on the right and narrow, and to help nurture their spiritual strength, he employed the assistance of Atira, the corn mother he had grown from the seeds in the heaven. Just like the seeds and an ear of corn, she was sweet and imbued with lightness. She was a goddess who would sustain both the spirit and the physical body. She was also strong and able to nurture new growth and encourage people to cultivate the same strength and lightness in themselves. But her lesson didn't end there, for Atira was not a farmer of souls, but of the land too. She knew how to care for the crops and ensure that they grew in abundance, and she taught this to the people. She was the one they called on when the earth was barren and nothing would grow. She was the one who would send the rains to drench the soil and the sun to welcome the first new shoots. She was the one they dreamed about when times were tough and they needed inspiration. And so Atira became the mother of every living thing, the corn lady, and the one who would always provide. And this she did by leaving a legacy. Wherever her feet had touched the earth, great fields of corn would grow. They stretched to the heavens and acted as a conduit, bringing her and her people closer together. Isn't that a beautiful myth? I love that. Sound familiar with the flood? It's funny how the more I study this work, so many of these myths from all different continents and cultures are very alike. You know, they talk about floods and underworlds and upper worlds. And there's so many common themes. It's truly remarkable. It's what Joseph Campbell would call the collective unconscious. So Atira is an inspiring earth goddess. To me, she sounds very similar to Demeter, which I talk about in my course. She encouraged new growth and leads by example. In her earthy guise, she is the golden sheets of corn that grow in abundance. Her mission is to sustain and promote positive energy. Caring for the environment is the best way to connect with her and to attract her prosperity. Love it. All right, now we're going to go to a Celtic goddess, the goddess of the pathways, called Elen of the Ways. Her themes are guidance, shamanism, magic, and nature. So her myth goes, at the dawn of time, she stepped out of the shadows. She sprang forth like a young sapling, ready to greet the sun and embrace her destiny. She grew with the landscape. Her limbs were strong and sun-kissed like the branches of an oak, and they reached for the stars. Her hair was red and tousled, braided with vines and leaves, and left to fall about her shoulders like a cloak. Her eyes were the brightest green to match the undergrowth and the new shoots and shrubs that would come to life all around her. Most striking were her antlers that twisted from her brow like a crown of bone. They marked her out as a special, no ordinary woman. This was Elen of the Ways, wild and sacred, a goddess of the earth. Over the years, many searched for her, Celtic warriors and Roman emperors alike. But while they might have glimpsed her in between the trees or heard the rustle of her skirts as she ran, they could never be sure if it wasn't just a dream, for Elen walked the dream world too. One night, a young hunter happened to find himself wandering in the woods. He lost track of time, and as the veil of night drew in, he cocooned himself in the trunk of a tree. The sounds of the forest filled him with fear, the ghostly creak of timber above his head, the whooshing of wind as it rattled and leaves and branches moved about, the shuffling, snuffling sounds of the very small creatures he had longed to catch in the height of the afternoon sun now made him shiver. He was cold and alone, with nowhere to run. Gritting his teeth, he pulled his thin cloak about his shoulders and curled into a tight ball. He was about to close his eyes to pray for the sanctuary of sleep. Then something caught his attention. 2 flickers of light within the darkness, like tiny flames, but brighter. He watched, transfixed, as the dancing lights moved up ahead. Then he realized they were the eyes of an antlered deer burning bright in the darkness. Stumbling to his feet, he felt compelled to follow and began to creep through the forest floor. The beast did not run as he might have expected. Instead, it seemed to slow down, as if it wanted him to get close. How strange, he thought, and yet he felt oddly comforted by its presence. Onward through the gnarled branches he crept, keeping a short distance between himself and the animal. He had never seen a deer like it. It was a reindeer and not a common sight in the woods at that time. It felt like the creature was leading him, as if it were tethered by an invisible stream of light that passed between them. Every so often, the deer would stop, turn its head delicately, and let its soft gaze fall upon the man. And in those moments, he would feel a calmness settle inside. Sometimes he even thought he heard a word, just one word, home. And he wondered if the deer was letting him know that this ancient forest was its home, and whether it was telling him to go home. Eventually, there was a clearing, a break in the dense clutter of woodland, and the sight of a path the hunter had recognized. He stumbled into the space, turning to look once more at the deer, but in its place stood a woman, a magnificent antlered being with a waterfall of berry red hair and glistening green eyes. She pointed toward the path with a slender finger. Home, she smiled, and then she motioned to the woods. Home, she whispered again, and he understood. As the sun began to rise, the vision before him faded. The hunter stirred from slumber to find he was no longer nestled in a tree trunk. He was lying upon a dusty path, and the woods were behind him. He rubbed his eyes and scratched his head. Was it a dream? But then how am I here? He scrambled to his feet and peered again into the heart of the forest. In the deep, earthy recesses, he thought he saw movement, a smile, a twinkling green eyes, and antlers and hooves, which turned and bolted in the opposite direction. Home, he said, and let the words drift upon the breeze. From that day onward, the young man set aside his hunting way, no longer chasing forest creatures for fun, but going out of his way to care for them. He trailed through the woods, doing his bit for nature, looking for the mysterious antlered woman who helped him find the right path. But he never found her again. So, this goddess, Elen of the Ways, she's a visionary who knows that there are many journeys in life, from the physical to the emotional and the spiritual. Elen is a nurturing goddess linked to the earth and the wild woods. She's a guide, who can help you discover your purpose in life. She reminds me a lot of Artemis, one of my absolute favorite goddesses. I talk about her in my course too, because she is the warrior wild woman goddess. So I hope you enjoyed that mythical tale of Elen of the Ways. And now we come to a goddess you might be familiar with, Gaia, the Greek goddess of the earth. Her themes are birth and rebirth, balance, and the cycles of life. So in the beginning, there existed chaos, an idea stirring but not yet formed, an empty chasm where anything could happen. For isn't that what chaos means? The potential of something? Think about it, be it trouble, destruction, joy, or madness. This is the heart of where it all can begin. The world did not exist at this time, and neither did the heavens. There was nothing there, and there was everything if you had the imagination to see it. Chaos was timeless. It was the serpent that swallowed its own tail, which is the Ouroboros. It seemed never-ending and probably would have gone on forever if it hadn't been for Gaia. Where she came from, no one knows, but it was out of chaos that she was born. Like a shooting star, she shattered the darkness and brought new life in the form of the earth, a planet, which was set in the center of a gaping maw of the sky. And slowly, the burning rock that was the heart of her passion for every living being began to spin. And with every turn, it grew in size and shape, and the beautiful mother goddess stepped into her power. She took her place in the vista of the universe, claimed Mount Olympus as her own, and sat upon a heavenly throne. Next came Taratus, the lord of the underworld, to watch over the place beneath the earth where the souls of the dead would rest. Then came love in the shape of Eros, which I'll add is Aphrodite's son. For without love, there's nothing, and the world would eventually cease to exist. Gaia knew this, so she knew that he would have to come next if she were to survive and thrive. These three became a cosmic force and the earliest of deities to help fashion the whole world. They were a team, united in what they could achieve and what they could rule together. But Gaia was not meant to simply exist. It was her natural urge to create, to give birth. She was the mother of everything, and yet she had no children to call her own. Kind of interesting, isn't it? We think of creation and birth as human babies, but oh no. If you're female, we are, in our very DNA is about creation. Whether you create your business or a beautiful home, or you like to knit, or you paint, or whatever you create, an idea, a course, a book, it's all about the urge to create and to fulfill that need that we all have. So after a while, hundreds of thousands of lifetimes at the very least, Gaia grew restless and lonely. She was tired of talking to herself and of being the light of everything, but the mother of nothing. And so, in her desperation and to feed her need to nurture, she created Uranus. He would be her confidant, her partner in all things, and he would govern the sky and the heavens. Alongside him, and to keep them both company, she created Pontus, to look after the oceans, and Aurea, who was assigned the mountains and the hills. So the world began to take shape. Great swaths of landscape were formed, crafted by the blink of a godly eye. The seas flowed at the flick of a hand. The salty waters carved their own path through the land to create islands. The sky above pressed down, kissing the earth in its life-giving breath, and there was hope for the future. Gaia saw this and felt this. But there was still more to do. Taking Uranus as her lover, together they created Kronos, who would go on to be the mightiest of gods and the first of the Titans. But while you might imagine their firstborn would be kind of hard and willing to play his part in the creation of the world, Kronos was troubled and held a deep disregard for his mother. He became the god of time, but his version of time was destructive, a devouring force that would eventually be toppled by the introduction of the Olympians. Gaia, for her part, continued to do what mothers do. She loved and nurtured each creation. She gave birth to night and day, and a myriad of other aspects. And most importantly, she gave birth to her people, making the stars in the sky and the sun to show them the way. In return, she was adored and exalted. Whether she appeared as an old woman whose body was the earth and whose head was crowned by the starry skies, or the voluptuous maiden laid bare to shape the land, Gaia was the bringer of calm, the one who had stepped forth out of chaos, the mother of everything. She was how the world was born. So we know Gaia as the earth. She is the start of everything and at the heart of cycles of all of life. She has the power to create, just as we do in our feminine mother energy. And she has the power to shape new things. She gives life. She is life, and her life is the life-giving energy that brings countless blessings. I'm hoping that you are really taking this in and applying it to how you feel about yourself and your abilities in your life. Because all these energies, please remember, are in you. The last one I have to share with you today is a very classic, well-known myth, the myth of the spider grandmother. It's another Native American earth goddess, and she's a very powerful, psychic, visionary, insightful goddess. So this story goes like this. Timeless and ancient, Spider Grandmother is the oldest of elders. Like the dusty, rocky surface of her homeland, she bears cracks in her skin, her hands worn dry. Her hair is black as the darkest winter night, and her skin is tinged the golden amber of the sands she walks on. But her eyes are bright and piercing, full of clear vision. They can see into your heart and the future. Some say she lives in a hole in the ground, spinning her webs and scuttling around, while some believe that Spider Rock is where she rests her head. This tall, jutting pinnacle is the perfect place for her to sit and view the world. The mountain is dry and whitened from the bones of those who have gone before and the children who have dared to enter her realm. The Spider Grandmother does not take kindly to intruders. At least that's what they say in all the stories, whispered, told in the tales of the dark around the billowing campfires. It's no wonder young warriors avoid climbing to the top of this mountain. After all, it does not do to incur the wrath of an earth goddess. Or any goddess, I'll add. But then there are some who can't help it, like the young Dini warrior, chased by a war party from an enemy tribe while out scouting for food. Caught unaware by the lake splashing water upon his face, he ran for what seemed like miles, dodging the arrows, darting behind the rocks and bushes, looking for a way out. And still they chased him. They could smell his fear, and they knew that his legs could not carry him forever. The boy pushed on, but his limbs were tired and his mouth was dry. The midday heat burned through his skin, and even the sweat upon his brow had dried up. It was only a matter of time before the arrows would puncture his flesh, or he would collapse from exhaustion. The boy did not wish to let his tribe down, but he couldn't think of a way out. So he blundered on. He prayed with all his might to the earth deities that relief or death would come swiftly. It was then that he encountered the tallest rock he had ever seen. It stood like a plinth rising up from the earth, and he wondered if it had once been a giant or some other monstrous being turned into stone. He stopped in his tracks, for there was no way he could climb it. He could hear the party picking up speed, the hooves of their horses getting closer. This was surely the end for him. But then, just when he had given up hope, a silken thread slid down the slide of the rock. He watched it glinting in the sunlight, and it was so delicate. It would surely not hold his weight, yet there it was, dancing before his eyes. He reached for it and tugged at it. It was strong and sparingly. Quickly, he wrapped it around his waist and began to climb. The thread held him. It held him firm and even pulled him upward. Soon he was staggering, scaling the jagged stone at incredible speed. until he reached the top and fell forward into what looked like a giant eagle's nest. He laid and stretched out his hands. He could feel drops of dew nestled in craters upon the surface, and he drank deep of the fresh water. Below, he heard the cries of the war party. They did not know where he was. He listened as they went on upon their way and was about to scramble up, but a voice stopped him. Would you be going without saying thank you for my hospitality? He looked up and found himself gazing into an old woman's face. I am Spider Grandmother, she said, offering a gnarled hand. And this is my home. The young warrior looked in astonishment as the woman before him seemed to shift and change from spider to human to something in between. But all the time she was smiling, and there was no malice in her expression. Suddenly, it all made sense. The silken thread she had spun, and the way she had come to his aid after he'd prayed to the gods. He thanked her from the bottom of his heart, and they talked. She showed him how she lived, and how she helped the tribes by spinning their fates and showering them with blessings. She filled him up with wisdom, and when time came, she let him down the side of the mountain with her thread. When the young man returned to his tribe, he told them of his meeting with Spider Grandmother and how she'd helped him in his hour of need. And from that day onward, no longer was she the scary, fiendish old lady of the tales, but an earth mother and a friend to the people. Spider Grandmother is known as a kindly old woman, even though she's feared by some. Wise and perceptive, this earth goddess uses both her objectivity and her intuition to get to the heart of the matter. These are things we can do too, my friends. Using our objectivity, not getting too caught up in our emotions and feelings, keeping our heads about us, and then tapping into our intuition, our instincts, our heart's wisdom, our heart's intelligence to know what to do, to stay grounded. I love this story. I love learning about Spider Grandmother in particular because she's the wise woman archetype. Another archetype we talk about in my course, because these are all the abilities and stages that we go through as women and are very important to understand about ourselves so we can navigate in the world successfully. I hope you enjoyed these goddess stories and these beautiful myths of Earth Mother energy today in honor of Earth Day. This is my gift and sharing to you and Mother Earth, which I love so, so deeply, and I've dedicated my life to help support. I really hope you enjoyed it, my friend. I'd love to know which one is your favorite, and if you have any, because you know there's a lot more. I only picked 4 for today. Alrighty, we'll see you next time. And don't forget, all those abilities are in you. Would you like to support my mission to help empower people all over the world to be all of who they truly are? If so, please subscribe to the show, leave a review on iTunes, and share it with a friend. And if you're looking to take immediate action to align your energy and optimize your health, visit amyfournier.com. Thanks for listening to Awakening Aphrodite. Let's awaken her together in you. I'm your hostess, Amy Fournier, and I already can't wait to be with you again and for you to hear what I have planned for the next show.
Thanks for listening to Awakening Aphrodite with Amy Fournier. To learn more about Amy, check out her website, amyfournier.com. That's amyfournier.com. You can also check out Amy's live and on-demand virtual fitness and yoga classes and sign up for her newsletter to receive a free mini ebook of 3 of her top tips for making holistic health a lifestyle. Again, that's amyfournier.com and get your ebook sent to your email immediately. Connect with Amy on the daily on Instagram at FitAmyTV, FITAMYTV, and watch many of the podcast episodes and subtopic clips on her YouTube channel, which is also FitAmyTV. Enjoy, and we'll see you next time on Awakening Aphrodite.